Welcome into episode 517 of the Skate Podcast. I am Brian DeFelice, joined for the last time in calendar year 2025 by Bridget Prue and Scott McLaughlin. We're going to get to the Boston Bruins' recent loss to the Calgary Flames. They've lost now 6 in a row, and they head to Edmonton tonight to play the Oilers. So that'll be a fun one. And Scott's going to break some issues down in his opening shift. Bridget has another opening shift that we're going to get to as well that I really look forward to talking about. But before we get to theirs, start off with mine, which haven't given Bridget or Scott any warning about this. So it'll be live. We'll do it live later on in the episode. I thought of a fun exercise we could do today, being the last day of 2025, and that is later in the show, the three of us can put our heads together and maybe come up with, we can choose a number, but I'll say 10, but maybe we'll drop that down to 5 biggest moments for the Boston Bruins in calendar year 2025. And we'll rank them, so 10 least significant, 1 most significant. I'll just put that out there now. We're going to talk Bruins, Flames, Bruins, Oilers, all that good stuff, and Bridget's opening shift, but wanted to surprise two of you and maybe see how organic it can be.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I feel like the biggest ones were the trades, so we probably can discuss those, and then everything else probably comes after that. But yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah, I don't think Jonathan Aspero's high sticking penalty at the end of regulation Monday night is going to make the cut, but it will make the cut for my opening shift because my opening shift is about the Bruins just continuously being unable to stay out of the penalty box, and it is just absolutely killing them. Like, it's killing them in this game, during this losing streak, really all season. They take 4 penalties prior to Aspero's, which is already too many. Like, you really need some games here where they're keeping it to 2 or 3 opponent power plays. But their penalty kill was perfect, 4 for 4 through that point. And you're thinking, all right, well, they're going to at least get to overtime. It was frustrating because they were the much better team in the third period. And really, it was just their own penalties that ever interrupted their momentum. But then right at the end of regulation, Jonathan Aspero just waving around, high stick, unnecessary, like not preventing a scoring chance. It's away from the play, not away from the play, but like away from a scoring area. Nothing's happening. So now the Bruins have to start overtime on the penalty kill. They actually have a chance to win it shorthanded. They get a great chance, Saka and Zadorov. But then they end up giving up a goal with 7 seconds left on the penalty. Flames win. Bruins have a 6th straight loss. And, just to put some numbers to it. So I wrote this up for weei.com, and they've surrendered at least 1 power play goal now in 9 of their last 10 games. Their penalty kill has slipped down to 19th in the league because it's down to 70% over those 10 games, which is not good. That would rank dead last in the NHL if that were their PK percentage for the season. They've been shorthanded 4 or more times in 5 of their 6 losses during this losing streak. They've now been shorthanded 152 times on the season. As of post-game Monday, that was 21 more than any other team. I didn't update it for any games Tuesday, but and so many of them are just these careless stick penalties. Kastelik takes 2 of them Monday night. Hampus Lindholm, another hook. Like, just during a battle where he already had pretty good position, Kastelik's are both in or right outside the offensive zone, not where you want to be taking them. And they're just, it's a problem that they've not been able to fix all season. And I don't know what has to happen for them to finally stop and like just not take these stick fouls anymore.
Yeah, no, we've brought up penalties, and penalty trouble over and over again. So we'll definitely get more into that. My opening shift has to do with World Juniors because both Hagens and Zellers had really important goals in the US's last win. So Hagens had the game tying and go ahead goal. And then Zellers had the game winning goal to make it 6-4 at the time. The US ends up beating Slovakia 6-5. And so every single game, Zellers has been a big reason why the US has had success. So he gets another game-winning goal. I think, Brian, you're the one who brought it up last episode that he already had 2 game-winning goals. Now he's got 3. He is, I believe, tied for most points in the tournament, or maybe second most. Let me pull it up. He has, he's tied for second most points. He's got 6 points. He's got 4 goals, 2 assists. And then Hagens kind of came to life against Slovakia too and got his first 2 goals of the tournament. And so those guys were on display. I'm sure Don Sweeney was watching that feeling pretty damn smart for his deadline moves last year, I guess. Like that's kind of what it comes back to. It's Will Zellers was a deadline move. You tried Coyle as and Zellers comes back as part of that, and then you get Hagens because you didn't finish off the season with, you traded away players and you kind of tanked and you ended up with a 7th overall pick. And so you have both of those guys because of March last year, like March and April, I guess, last year. And also, I guess you could have drafted someone else too, I guess, at 7, but I think they're happy with that pick still. And just watching those guys do their thing, they've been entertaining. I've been looking forward to that maybe more than watching the Bruins recently. So, and watching just the international hockey, Spangler Cup too. Like the U.S. Collegiate Selects team is going to the championship game. I think it might be on like soon, but
it's already over. They lost.
It's over. When did they play that? It's 9 a.m. here.
It was like a 6 a.m. Eastern start.
Jesus. Okay, I thought it was noon.
No, I think it was noon local time.
Oh, why? Just why? That's crazy. All right. Well, that stinks that they lost, but they went on a good run there. And they all had fun, so that's that's good. But yeah, I'm sure we'll talk more about the World Juniors. I know you guys are all watching it too, so.
Yeah, World Juniors has been awesome. I mean, it always is, but you got so group stage wraps up today, New Year's Eve. All big games, like all seeding. Both groups, first place is still up for grabs. So USA plays Sweden at 6:00. That'll be for first place in the group. I think Canada, Finland, that's also for first place in the other group. So those are big games. Like everything, especially for the US, it feels like everything to this point has kind of been. It was always building towards Sweden as like the big group stage game, and then obviously you get the knockout rounds after. But yeah, the Bruins guys have been really good. I think I was a little higher on Hagens' play through the first 2 games than a lot of people. Like I saw people saying like he was invisible, and I was like, I see him creating a lot of chances. They're just not going in. So like I say maybe frustrating. But yeah, then he gets the 2 big goals to tie the game late. So that game against Slovakia, tie it late in the second period, then put the US ahead in the third. And then, Zellers tacks on what at the time looked like an insurance goal, but actually ends up being the game winner. So, those 2 ended up on a line together in the third period. They moved Zellers up to Hagens' line. So that would be fun if that continues. See the two Bruins prospects play together.
Yeah, and Zellers has been getting a lot of power play time too. Like Hagens has, but we kind of expected that. But Zellers, for being somebody who is a late ad and then makes the team, and They've been giving him some really good opportunities with power plays, and he's earned them. And that's where he scored. He scored on the power play to make it 6-4. So, and Hagens also started off that game by hitting the crossbar. So he almost had one in the first, and then like I mentioned, he had 2 goals after that. But yeah, he looked good. And I even think the color commentator was like, "Oh, Hagens has been quiet," and then it happened that he wasn't so quiet in that one.
Yeah, and I definitely push back, Scott, to your point on those who were saying that Hagens was invisible prior to. He definitely wasn't invisible. He just wasn't dominant, obviously, which is what a lot of people were hoping for. But he still had 2 assists through 2 games and had some moments, like you said. But it's interesting. Listen, there's no such thing as a third assist in hockey. If there were, I may have to take one in that game. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw. I mean, I meant to play the lottery for some of you guys, because 7:35 p.m. on December 29th, I'm watching the game. I say, Hagens has been relatively quiet so far in this year's World Junior Tournament, but have a feeling he's going to find a big moment to leave his impact on the score sheet. Well, 9 minutes later, he scores his first goal in the second period. And then about 15 minutes later, he scores his second goal to start the third. So I don't want to say put me on World Juniors. I think I've aged out at this point. But, I'll definitely give myself a third assist for that. But, yeah, I mean.
I thought you were 17.
Yeah. Maybe when I shave, I look 17. But
you haven't shaved in years.
No. But, so yeah, Hagens, you could tell, was getting more confidence after that as well. Like he was buzzing in the third period. Zellers, what can you say about him other than he's a game breaker? Like he definitely has been a game breaker at every level he's played at. We talked about it last episode. So definitely great showings for them, future Bruins line mates. And while we're at it, good year for Dean Letourneau continues on. He scored again, I think both games this weekend for BC, once against Western Michigan, which obviously is without Hagens, Stiga. And so he's got, I think, goals in 5 straight. And people keep tweeting out the videos of his goals. And, I had a comment to it, and I don't think I've seen a garbage goal from him so far this year. Every goal I see of him it's a clean shot beating the goaltender. And I think there's areas to his game that you still want to see improvement, but beyond the goal scoring, like, I think with his size, he has a real ability to cover a lot of ice in an assertive way. And I think that's probably the next step. But the goal scoring and the production is awesome to see for him.
Yeah, that last one was a laser. He has a strong shot. So it's crazy to see the difference from last year, this year. It's night and day watching him play this year compared to, he had limited ice time last year, but yeah, even in his opportunities, he looks so much more confident this year. Shot looks better. He looks stronger. Everything's going Dean this year. So he's gonna be fun to keep watching.
Yeah, he just looks so much more confident as a player. Like just the way he asserts himself with the puck on his stick, and even without the puck, like he's been more physical this season. But yeah, like he's taking shots that I don't think he was taking last year. He's he's taking on defenders in a way that he wasn't last year. And he's burying those shots. I said this, like I thought this last year, and I said it, watching him at development camp. You see the way he shoots, and it's like, how did he shoot 0 for 36 last season? Like, yes, he should have had more shots. I think he averaged like a shot a game last year. But you see a shot and you're like, how did none of those 36 go in? And I'm sure he dealt with a hand injury. Like, I'm sure that affected it. I'm sure he's worked on his shot since, but he does have a really good shot. And, a lot of these goals are from distance. So there's always that next, like, thinking ahead to the next level. It's like, does he have a shot that can beat NHL goalies from distance? Because that's kind of another level. It's one thing to beat college goalies from distance. It's another probably couple steps to beat NHL goalies from distance. As we've talked about with Morgan Geekie, like there aren't a lot of guys who can do it. Morgan Geekie has clearly established himself as one of those guys who can. David Pastrnak can. I wouldn't be shocked if Dean Letourneau has the kind of shot that eventually he can do that. But Brian, kind of like to your point, where like you're right, and I think I can remember a couple, like maybe literally a couple goals he scored around the net front. So I guess maybe, if you want to like nitpick, maybe you want to see him score a little bit more there. But in the meantime, like everything else he's doing is so encouraging.
So, this is going to be why a lot of Bruins fans out there are going to look at, and, Letourneau was a different situation. He was Boston's true pick a few years ago. But, when it comes to Zellers and Hagens, and they're going to look at why we're so excited watching this World Junior Tournament, and we're not excited if it's not for the Bruins having a bit of a sell-off last year, which was in part because they had self-awareness at the deadline and did what they had to do. And fans are now going to look at this Bruins team currently and where they sit in the Eastern Conference and say, well, this is exactly why they should be doing it again. And to be honest with you guys, right now, I can't see much reason based on the Bruins' current play and their upcoming schedule and their place in the standings and have any sort of disagreement with that. I think I've kind of looked at it as get to the Olympic break and see where you are, and then I'm sure Don Sweeney is going to be busy over in Italy during that Olympic break, but I think he can find some time to have some conversations with some other GMs during that hiatus for the NHL and maybe have some conversations about moving some pieces. But I think that this is why fans are advocating for, hey, if you can get something for player X, Y, or Z that aren't going to be in Boston long term, keep it going. I don't think it's right now. I don't think it's literally right now. I think, even if the Bruins want to, things take time to develop. It's like, but this kind of leads us into the Bruins' current play. I mean, they're last place in the Atlantic Division in point percentage, and they're second to last in the conference in points percentage. So,
yeah, they're ninth in the NHL in points percentage, which is kind of crazy because the bottom 7 are all in the Western Conference, which just again speaks to this weird divide that the league has right now, where the West is like an elite upper class and then the poor of the league, and the East is like all middle class. It's like everyone, like nice, blue collar job, maker. I don't know, but like it's just weird, like the way the league looks right now. We talked about how important this road trip is, and they start with 2 losses, and I even find myself thinking like, kind of feels like it's not too early to think about what they trade off, or not too early, with World Juniors going on, like not too early to start to formulate some thoughts about the top prospects. Like, you also have that Toronto pick that could end up pretty high. So, maybe the Bruins have 2 top 10 picks. Like that's a possibility.
Gavin McKenna had a hat trick.
Yeah.
The tournament, so he's somebody you can watch for Canada if you think they'll end up that far down. Though I think some of those Western Conference teams are not going to let you pass them in that regard. But
although we've seen what the lottery does, though, right?
Yeah,
we've seen what the lottery
does.
Yeah,
we have. We recently watched it work against them, but
you never know. Be in the neighborhood, you never know.
Yeah, like. Kind of along those lines, just quick note, just want to stake out some ground here. So I mentioned on Twitter, but I'm going to say in the pick like 5 to 8 range, maybe Chase Reed, right shot defenseman for the U.S. player I really like, and I think is probably like, I feel like looking at the draft, it seems like there's kind of like a clear top 4 right now. McKenna, Keaton Vierhoff, defenseman for Canada, freshman at North Dakota. Ivar Stenberg, who's playing for Sweden right now in World Juniors. And Tynan Lawrence, who plays in the USHL right now, is heading to BU next year. But really like the one center at the top of this class. And then after that, like it's kind of wide open. And Chase Reed is just I really like watching him. He's a good skater. He's really good with the puck on his stick. He has a great shot. I can definitely say like future, power play one quarterback in the NHL. And I think he's played well for the US.
How nice is it, by the way, to there's still work that needs to be done. The Bruins, if the Bruins want to get back to where they want to be, which is a contender and a Stanley Cup champion, there are more picks to be selected that need to hit and make an impact in the NHL. That still needs to happen in 2026 and beyond. But how nice is it right now knowing that at least they have Hagens and they have Zellers, and like it's like last year I needed the Bruins to sell like I needed air because they didn't have any of these prospects. And this time last year, James Hagens was the projected first overall pick. If you would have told me this time last year the Bruins were going to draft James Hagens, I would have said, did they win the draft lottery? Now I know Matthew Schaefer had his voters out there, and this time last year too, he had injury issues, so he was more under the radar. And as we've seen, Matthew Schaefer was the deserved number one pick. He's outstanding.
I think it was probably a week or two ago that it switched to Schaefer, because I do remember like going into World Juniors, it was like most people thought he had passed Hagens, and then he got hurt their first game at World Juniors.
But even Call Hagens like projected second, right? It's like you tell, if you were to tell us that on the podcast last year this time, we'd say, did the Bruins get the first or second pick? So the fact that the Bruins got him at 7th, to know that you have that, in my opinion, blue chip prospect in your system right now, and then another very highly touted prospect, Will Zellers, who has really started to make a name for himself big time since being a Bruins asset. He wasn't at the time that the Bruins traded for him. He was on his way to becoming, but he was not yet the USHL player and forward of the year. He was not one of the leading scorers among freshmen in the NCAA. He was not being the USA's top forward, arguably, in World Junior. Like these things all happened since being traded to Boston. So his stock is rising. It's nice to know that we have those players already in the bank as we approach this coming year's draft and beyond. I don't want to say it's like we're drafting with house money because you still have to hit on those picks, but it's nice to know that you aren't starting from scratch anymore. So it's like I don't see myself going into next June being like you got to find your next number one center, because like I think they have that now with Hagen. So it's like now, even though Scott, to your argument last year, it really should always be best player available, and I think seeing what Matthew Schaefer is, I think I've learned my lesson that you really just have to take best available now. I more feel that way now is going forward. Just take the best player available.
Sorry, Brian. What do you feel their biggest need is? Is it what Scott just said at right D?
I think, I think it's right D, and I think it's top 6 wing forward. Like you need something beyond Matt. I mean, you can make the argument. I mean, they definitely have more lefty in the system. So yes, I'm going to say right D and top 6 talent. However you want to dice that up.
Yeah, you almost can't have enough top 6 forward talent, but right defense is like just organizationally pretty barren right now. Like it's Charlie McAvoy, and then I don't know that you have another one that you're like, this guy's part of the team 3 years from now.
I mean, if you're talking right shot, if you're talking physical right shot, it's McAvoy, and then it's who? Yoki Haru, Peak, and Billy Sweezy?
It's like Yoki Haru's the only one under contract for any meaningful amount of time, and I don't know how much of a part of a future he is even with that contract. Peak's obviously a pending free agent, and then the guys down in Providence, like, okay, Victor Soderstrom looked solid, but like I don't know if we're banking on him being any part of the future. Yeah, exactly. So that is kind of a glaring hole. I still think like even center, this isn't a great draft for centers at the top, but you'd love to have like someone else you can line up with Hagens. If you end up with the 3rd or 4th pick and take Tynan Lawrence, like, you'll figure out how to make that work. I know you have Elias Lindholm under contract and Fraser Minton, and so you start to wonder like how does it fit, but real high end top of the lineup centers, like you look at the teams that have two great centers and it's like it's such a cheat code. Like that does so much for you.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're gonna get to it today. We can if you guys want, but I mean, there's a conversation to be had about Elias Lindholm long term because I don't know. I mean, like he's under contract, he's got a no move, so you're stuck with them, and it's like I don't know. I don't want him being your number one center right now, let alone next year, the year afterwards. So it's like, okay, so now you try to find places for him further down the lineup, and it's well, is he your number 3 center in a couple of years, or do you want someone younger in that situation? Like, they're gonna have to figure that out, obviously, like what to do with him. I can very much see a scenario where he just doesn't really fit. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're kind of playing him over somebody younger that you'd rather be playing. Like it's not a conversation for right now. But as the team gets better and more talented in the coming years, I think it's going to become more of a focal point. But it's not for today, I guess. So that's the price you pay when you overpay in free agency for today solve, and it doesn't really pan out that well. Okay, so as far as the Bruins Flames game goes, it's too bad about my boy Jonathan Aspero getting that penalty because I honestly thought he played a really strong game for his first game back. I thought the Bruins defense core looked better. I mean, I don't think they gave up 2 shots in the third period. Maybe it was 1 shot or no shots in the third.
Yeah, it was just one.
Just one. Like I thought you saw the impact he has that we talked about on previous episodes. Unfortunately, there's just a mental plague going around that Bruins locker room where they can't stop taking dumb penalties and any types of penalties, really. It's been something that's been going on all year. They've been the most penalized team consistently all year. So, it's tough. You start overtime shorthanded, and you honestly have the better of the chances. You kill off Calgary's power play for 95% of it. Pavel Zacha has a breakaway. Nikita Zadorov has a follow-up chance. You don't allow Calgary to set up for more than really was like 5 seconds at one point. And then they put out Lindholm, Hampus Lindholm, that is. You put out Andrew Peeke and Sean Corrali. And I just had this feeling in my stomach. I'm like, this is not the true I want out right now. I just don't.
Corrali was out there like the entire penalty.
I'm like, you do a great job killing with certain guys out there. And of course you have to change as the nature of the game. And I was just like, I just don't like Peeke Lindholm out there right now. They're going to be able to set up. I thought the Flames were going to be able to set up for a little bit and then maybe get a clean goal. It obviously was a shit goal that kind of went off Lindholm's stick. I had watched the replay like 6 times. I still don't really see the exact moment that the puck went in off of Lindholm's stick. I just saw it bouncing, but it's a brutal way to lose a game.
Yeah, and honestly, like it sucks for Hampus Lindholm too because obviously, again, this is a player like we've said, like it feels like quite a bit has been piled up against him, and you want him to have like a good game and something to cling to. And I actually thought he was having a really good game. I thought that pair of him with Aspero was good. You mentioned the Aspero part of it. And I thought Hampus Lindholm had been a beast on the PK in that game. Like he had multiple broken up passes across the seam, clears down the ice, steals, won battles, like was noticeably doing a great job killing penalties in that game. And then, is right there on the winner, and it goes off his stick. And like you said, like just like a mess of a play. Like I'm not even really saying it's his fault, but it's like, but you're the one there who just happens to be in that bad position, and so that's all people are going to notice and remember. And like being a part of 4 other kills goes by the wayside.
Yeah, it's unfortunate just having to start off killing like immediately. It's not common that you see like the penalty happens that late, I guess, in the third that it carries over completely into the overtime. They almost killed it too. Like it felt like they were surviving and doing well actually, and then next thing you know, they're back with another loss, and for them that point was really necessary. And it comes against It's an overtime loss against Calgary, who I believe are they still below them in points percentage? I gotta double check. I have it up. Yeah, they are. So you're in 9th from last, but they're 5th from last. So in points percentage. So this is still a team that you'd want to see a win there, and you're gonna play another one of these teams soon because Vancouver is still in last, and they're coming up on your schedule too. So it's you got to get the points against those teams, and we mentioned they lose to Buffalo first game off break, and they've been hot, but still it's Buffalo. And on paper, like I don't know really how much better of a team they are than the Bruins. So got to find ways to win those games, and I guess they take a point, but they needed both of those, and it's just still a losing streak now, right? Like it's still it's still a loss. Like we're still talking about them needing to get a win for the first time in a long time.
Well, that's why that goal in overtime was a real kick in the cajoons, is because you kind of really felt like that was a penalty kill that was gonna give the Bruins momentum. That looked like a back-breaking power play for Calgary. You get a power play to start overtime at the end of regulation. You do nothing with it prior to the goal, which was a shit goal. But I really thought Zacha was going to score on that breakaway, and it was going to be a nice feel-good win for the Bruins. And they finally get that monkey off their back. And then who knows? Maybe you're feeling better about yourself when you go into Edmonton, you get a nice win. Obviously, they can still get that win in Edmonton, but I just think it's going to have to be that much more of a grind. It's not. There's something about releasing that weight of a losing streak that makes you play a little bit freer the next game in a good way, a little bit looser. And I think that could have helped them beat Edmonton tonight. I think now that you don't have that feel-good mojo, now it goes back to like you got to scrap and claw for 2 points tonight. It's a bit of a different mentality, I feel like. So yeah, it's they go shorthanded, but they had the chances and no entries for Calgary really, and it was just a devastating way to lose a game in a crucial game where the Bruins need to get a win. I mean, if you were to ask, fans, listeners, the Bruins themselves a couple weeks ago when they're in the middle of a 4-game win streak and had been playing pretty good hockey for the most part since the start of November, how do you feel about a road trip that sees you playing Buffalo, Calgary, Vancouver, and Seattle? Of course, Edmonton as well, but you'd be like, yeah, there's a chance to pile up some points in that trip, regardless if it's on the road. And now how quickly things have changed, and the Bruins are that team that opponents are looking at in their schedule, and you don't want to take anybody lightly in the NHL or any professionally because you'll find a way to lose. But as much as people look at a schedule and say we should win that game, that's the Bruins for teams right now. So until they change that, that's their reality.
Yeah, and if they get into penalty trouble against Edmonton, forget it. Like that's the best power play in the NHL. Clicking along, like 36% on the season, like just crazy numbers. Special teams are the difference last time you played them. Like you went toe to toe with the Oilers 5-on-5 in Boston. They get a power play goal and a shorthanded goal, and that's the difference. Like, so yeah, you got to stay out of the box tonight, and like looking ahead, like Vancouver and Seattle should both be winnable games. There's you have actual practice time on this trip. Like this is kind of a spread out trip. That there's no back-to-backs. There's 2 games, 2 days off between Edmonton and Vancouver, and then 2 more between Vancouver and Seattle. They had, full practice on Sunday, a full practice on Tuesday. So like they're getting time to work on stuff. It's just, is it going to be like too late for it to matter? Because if you lose to Edmonton, then it's already a losing trip. You've already lost 3 of the 5 games. So like all you can do is just try to salvage something to feel a little better. But we were talking about this and like needing to be a winning trip, and that could already be out the window 3 games into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said something along the lines of bare minimum 3-1-1, and I won't call it curtains on the season. So they're 1-1, so they got to win their next 3, and that's a daunting task for a team that's had the woes that they've had, not just on the score sheet, but in the process. Their process has been junk. Now, the Calgary game, to me, I don't think the Bruins played particularly bad. I don't think they played amazing. I think it was, let's call it for what it is. It was 2 below average teams kind of slugging out a boring game for the most part. I just think the Bruins were no worse than Calgary, and honestly may have been a little bit better than them throughout the course of regulation. But I mean that's why it goes to overtime, and that's why overtime's a coin flip and you lose. So I don't think the Bruins got robbed of a win in Calgary. I think they, you could say they deserved better, but when games are that close and the margins are that small, that's the game.
I will say, yeah, I mean, think about the score. It's 1-1 going into overtime. Andrew Peeke has your goal. I guess if you want to make a criticism, scoring 1 goal is not normally a formula to win. And the fact that it comes from one of your defensemen, who prior to this hot streak that he's been on with the goals, hasn't really scored. So this is, he's in a stretch here where he's actually scoring on goalies, where previously he'd only ever scored on empty net. But
he now leads Bruins defensemen in goals this year.
He's killing it. But he's your goal scorer, and it's not Pasternak, and it's not Geeky, and it's, it's not those what you would think of as like the usual suspects of scoring. So,
well, and that kind of leads to like the conversation we're having recently, which is their top players haven't been good enough, and the Calgary game is no exception. Listen, Morgan Geeky, okay, like we've given him more than enough flowers, where he feels like the prettiest person at the prom. We gotta talk right now about his slump. I mean, he's scored a goal in 2 of his last 10 games. So, I'm not saying he's been the worst player in the league because of that, but what I'm saying is when you've become one of the more reliable, if not the most reliable goal scorer on the team for the last calendar year, you start to have that expectation that, rightfully or wrongfully, that comes with the territory. It's the same reason why if David Pasternak doesn't score a goal in 10 games, it gets talked about, because he's a goal scorer at the end of the day. He's a point producer. So Geeky has 3 goals in his last 10 games, but 2 of them came in the same game. So he has scored goals in 2 of his last 10. And he's looked quiet. He's looked quiet most nights. And David Pasternak looks frustrated most nights. And I have no doubt in my mind that he is playing through one, if not multiple injuries. So are a lot of players in the league. But to me, Pasternak looks like a player who is trying to do too much because he knows that he's snake bitten. I think that when you try to do too much, you start to perform a lot of low percentage, ill-advised plays, a lot of hope and prayer passes, a lot of just not taking care of the puck. And he looks frustrated. I'm sure there's a small part of him that wants better line mates. Well, it is what it is right now. You're either one of the best players in the world or you're not. So I know I think he's playing hurt. I don't doubt that. But to me, I just, his battle effort on the walls and his decision-making right now is not up to snuff.
Did you just insult Murat Huznadinov and Fraser Minton? You said he would want better line mates. What's wrong with those two?
Well, listen, I mean, nothing. I mean, we all know Kuzi's, a 2025 version of Gretz. I'm just saying, like, maybe Haas doesn't think that. I don't know.
He's their number 1 most important thing of 2025.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. I'll reveal that later.
Yeah, Pasternak is doing like very frustrating thing where he's like coming over the line, slowing down, but like not a full pull up where he's getting any separation from the defender, and then he's not protecting the puck, and it like just turns into a battle that he loses. And it's like, I don't know what that is. Like, maybe it's playing her, maybe it's surveying the ice and not seeing the options he expects. Like, I don't know, but it's like, you got to do something. Like, you got to make some other decision there. Like, either move the puck or don't pull up in the first place. But this weird, like, slow down, hold the puck, then have it turn into a battle and then lose the puck is like, I don't know what that is, and it has to stop. But yeah, you're right. During the 6-game losing streak, Pastrnak and Geekie each have 3 points. It's not nothing, but it's not good enough for those two. And it's especially not good enough when you don't have other guys going. Like, depth scoring has dried up recently. I think they've scored 2 or fewer goals in 5 of these 6. Maybe. I think I had this written down somewhere. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, 2 or fewer goals 5 times during the 6-game losing streak. So, yeah, penalties are a problem. Goaltending, like, unfortunately, it's like everything has just slipped. It's like all these things that were working earlier in the year when this team was overachieving, they've all kind of fallen off all at once. And that's a recipe for disaster. And it's a recipe for your season to get away from you if it doesn't turn around like immediately.
Can I ask you guys a crazy question?
Sure. Let's do it. Let's get crazy.
I like Pastrnak with Minton and Hustadinov based off of a lot of their time together so far this year. Wasn't as great in Calgary. No. I know. I'm teeing it up. When I think about players he can play with, him playing with Elias Lindholm, who's not a play driver and not the most offensively creative mind, doesn't make me feel much better about giving Pastrnak somebody to play with and play off of. Lindholm's a north-south guy that he doesn't have the fastest feet, the fastest hands, the most creative mind, none of those things that you need to play with Pastrnak. Morgan Geekie, you can play with Pastrnak, but in a different capacity. Like, he can be the third guy, but I feel like Pavel Zacha is a guy that historically understands where to be with Pastrnak as far as playing the middle of the ice on his line. Like, I feel like if you're looking to put Pastrnak with somebody right now to get Pastrnak going, somebody that can play off of David in the corners, play off of him in transition, knows how he thinks. I feel like Zacha is the guy, but they just haven't really put them together too often. They'll put them together here and there, but it hasn't really been the case much, if at all, this year, where like Zacha and Pastrnak have been like a line combination in practice to start games. I don't know. Like, why not try a Pastrnak, Zacha, Geekie instead of Pastrnak, Lindholm, Geekie? Don't forget, Pastrnak, Zacha, Geekie was a combination for a lot of the second half of last year when Geekie got going. Like, Lindholm gets a lot of the credit for when that line started tearing it up. That line was tearing it up before they made that switch from Lindholm to Zacha. Lindholm just kind of kept it going. So, I don't know. There's not a ton to play with here for Pastrnak, but I just feel like Zacha's a guy, like, let's get him away from Middlestat and Arvidsson for a game, because Lord knows we can break them up for a couple of games. It's not like they're going on, on some crazy point streaks. I don't know. It's just something to think about.
Well, I think that last part is simple for you. I think it's not simple for Sturm, because that's his matchup line. That's the line he's using against opponents' top lines, and he likes the job that they've been doing.
But do you think that, and that's a fair point, and I wasn't really thinking of that, but now that you mention it, do you not think that Elias Lindholm, a defensive center, would be capable of doing that same thing with those two wingers? Like, do you think that's a defensive drop-off? Zacha out, Lindholm in? I don't think so.
Not necessarily, but like, it does change the chemistry, right? Because like, for the same reason you think Zacha would be better with Pastrnak, it's like Zacha and Lindholm are different players. So I think Sturm is trying to find this balance where it's like, we wondered all offseason, like, what does this team's second line looks like? Well, Sturm finds the second line he likes. It's also a line he can use defensively to match up. And I think he just doesn't want to touch it because he feels like he has such a fragile balance that it's like, well, Pastrnak and Geekie should be able to get going with someone else. And so I think in a way he's kind of putting the onus on them of like, I'm not going to split up this other line that's working to try to get you guys going. Like subtly, like you guys got to figure it out. Like you got to get yourselves going 5-on-5. You know, like I mean, the Middlestad Zaka Arvidsson line, and like you look through, I'm looking through like all their line combinations. Like that's been their best in terms of goals for, goals against. Bruins have outscored opponents 11-6 with them on the ice.
It's probably part of the problem, though. That's probably like not. I'm not saying that's a bad thing on them, but like that highlights what's wrong with the team right now is that they're your best line. The fact that a line with Casey Middlestad on it, no disrespect, is a defensive matchup line, and Victor Arvidsson at this stage in his career is an indictment, I think, on the rest of the lineup. That's your matchup line.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but again, like I think that's why Sturm's probably hesitant to touch it, because it's like, have these three just like found some sort of chemistry that works? And yeah, in theory, if I put Elias Lindholm there, it should still work. But does that just like, does the house of cards just fall apart? And now I don't have any lines going.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair. I just think like at some point, like if things keep, if Pastrnak and Geeky don't get going, and we can sit there and say, it's on you guys, get going, but they just don't. It's like at some point you gotta have to do something, and if they do, and you know what, they have like right now Pastrnak is with Husnudinov and Minton. I'm just saying, like Zaka to me is like that guy that's always kind of been able to think on the same plane as David. I think I love Minton for his age and potential, and I love the maturity to his game. We all know, you know, Kuz is a first ballot Hall of Famer in my mind, but I think that it's a tall task for them to think on the level of one of the best forwards in the world over the last decade. It's an adjustment, and I'm not saying that they're incapable, but I'm saying like you have a guy, and if Lindholm's not going to do it, you have a guy who's proven he can do it, I think, in Zaka. So if that means tinkering with the defensive line of Middlestad, Arvidsson, and Zaka, to get your top player going, should it take that? No, I'm with you, Scott. It shouldn't. Like David Pastrnak should be able to do that on himself, on his own line, regardless of his line mates, but he's not. So, and it's a pivotal point in the season. We've talked about it. We all can sit here and say that they're bound for the lottery again. A lot of fans can say that, but the Bruins aren't saying that. They don't think that. So, and nor should they be. Like if you're a competitor, you shouldn't be thinking that, right? So, their season's on the line, and they gotta make things happen, because you're going into the Lions Den tonight. So I'm curious. I think maybe the lines will stay the same from Calgary. Do you expect any line changes? Have there been any notes from practice? I know it's 7:30 in the morning out there where they are, so probably not.
Yeah, I'm guessing they're not out there yet.
Unless they practiced yesterday, which I don't know if they did.
They did. So let me see if I can find line combos. I don't know if anyone tweeted them.
Son of a bitch.
And
honestly, they might not have even done line work. Because apparently they did. I guess they started practice with just like everyone on the ice and two pucks, basically playing like two separate games ongoing at once. So I saw like Jim McBride described it as like looking like chaos. Marco Sturm said it was just fun more than chaos. So they might have not done like legitimate line drills yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say what they should do, because as we've talked about, like finding the right thing to, especially against Edmonton, right? Like Scott's talking about the Middlestad line as a matchup line. It's like, all right, is that who you want to put out there against McDavid? Because making sure that you have the right personnel out there against McDavid is obviously going to be pretty important to having a chance to win in Edmonton. So I don't know. Maybe we see the same thing. Maybe we see Husnudinov and Minton with Pastrnak again. It had worked, right? Like there was a stretch where it worked pre-Pastrnak missing some time with injury. Him and Husnudinov had some good stretches to get like a few good games together. And then I believe the first time that line, when it was with Minton as well, they scored that game, like that the first game they were together the first time. So I mean, it has worked, but it just
yeah, I mean the last game against Edmonton, so Arvidsson was out, but they used Middlestad, Zaka, Husnudinov against McDavid, and then the Zadorov McAvoy pairing, and they played him to a draw 5-on-5. Like you'll take that. Shots, scoring chances, all of it was even. McDavid didn't score 5-on-5. He only had one shot. Like, yeah, you are now you don't control matchups, so maybe Edmonton tries to get away from that and get McDavid against someone else. But in Boston, that line did their job in that matchup.
Well, I'll say this, guys, and call me crazy. Wouldn't be the first couple to call me crazy. I honestly think if the Bruins find a way to beat Edmonton tonight, I think there's a chance that you can ride that momentum and beat Vancouver and Seattle to end the road trip. Like, to me, this game tonight against Edmonton is massive for this Bruins team. I think if you lose this game, I think you're in danger of going on a 10-game slide. Truly. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. And but if you find a way to beat Edmonton tonight, I think you go into Vancouver. I think you find a way to win that game. I think you go into Seattle. You're feeling good now. The puck's going in. You're feeling better about your game. That's when the confidence starts to build. So if you can find a way to win this game, and this should be the message in the room tonight, is one game at a time. If you can find a way to win this game, a game you have no business winning, I think you try to ride the momentum into Vancouver and Seattle. And now you look back at the road trip, and you're talking about a situation where you have gotten 7 out of a possible 10 points, or right?
Yeah.
So, again, we can sit here all we want and talk about draft positioning and rankings and all that stuff if the season goes south, and we're going to. Again, it's in their hands as to how quick we're going to talk about that, because I don't know about you guys. I don't need to talk about draft ranking for 3-4 months. I can talk about it for a couple, but can we at least get to the Olympics, right? Let's give yourself a chance, because you do have Toronto's first round pick. And, if the Bruins find a way to make the playoffs, but they're like a middle of the pack team, you have your own mid-round pick, and maybe the Leafs are around top 10 as well. It's like, that's, you're still getting 2 picks in the top half of the draft in a year where you can make the playoffs. Like, it's not one of those situations where you make the playoffs, but you're in doing so, you're getting the 25th pick overall. It's like, there's a world where the Bruins make the playoffs, get some experience, but also get a top 10 pick from Toronto potentially, and a middle round pick of your own. So, like, there's ways. It's not always black and white. Like, there's a scenario where the Bruins can get a little bit of everything this year. But if they lose this game against Edmonton, I just think it's so.
But by the way, Toronto now ahead of you in points percentage.
Well, that's the other thing too. It's like, that's the other thing. Like, now they're starting the game. Now you can't control how the Leafs do outside of your games against them. So that's not even and you're not bringing this up for this reason, Scott. But like, at the end of the day, it's like, we were looking at Toronto all year, and look how bad they're playing. And if they turn it around, we can't get resentful. It is what it is. None of us. I had Toronto winning the division, so it was all cherry on top if they had a bad year. But
I think you could still get resentful. I think that we'll give our listeners the ability to be resentful about that if they want to be.
I'll find a way. All right. Any final thoughts on the game that was, the game that will be, before we decipher some top moments of the calendar year 25 for the Bruins? Yes.
Are these like, as in most impactful, biggest, or like the best things that they've done? Like,
yeah,
I think it has to be most impactful, because let's be honest, there haven't been a whole lot of positives.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're getting to 10 positives.
No, it's not. It's more so like, they're 10 biggest headline worthy moments of the year. Now I have a list. I can rattle some off to get your juices flowing here, and then let me know if I've missed something. I'm sure I did.
I think I have an idea of like 1 and 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
We can maybe decide on the order, because I bet we have the same 1 and 2, which was trading the captain.
No, Bridget, you can't jump the gun here. You can't put the cart before the horse. We got Because
Right.
that's how you build anticipation. You have to go from the 10 to the 1. It doesn't
No,
matter if
I
everybody
don't
knows what number
want
1
to.
is. Oh, come on, you can't get impatient on me now
Well,
here.
but then how are we supposed to? I want to do 1. I want to do 1 and 2.
Because everybody knows what 1 and 2 is, so the fun of it is trying to find what the other ones are.
Okay, so let's
So,
just say them
let
off the top then.
last up, I was just about to do so. Scott, was I not? Was I not about to do so?
Yeah, Brian's like, I have an idea, and Bridget's like, I have a different idea.
Yeah.
All right, let me rattle off
Better.
some options here. So, you're going to laugh at this first one, but I'm going to say it because it's been that bad of a year. I got the Bruins rebrand in there at number 10. I got the rebrand in there at number 10. Fight me over it. All right, then. I also have a combination here of hiring Chara as hockey ops advisor and mentor / announcing his jersey retirement. I have trading Trent Frederick for what ended up being eventually Yoki Haru. I have trading Justin Brazeau for what ended up being Lauko Husadinov in a 6th. I have Don Sweeney's 2-year extension, hiring Marco Sturm. I have Geeky's contract extension, trading Coyle for Middlestat Zellers in a 2nd, trading Carlo for Minton in a 1st. Drafting James Hagens and trading away Brad Marchand at number 1. Did I miss anything? Is there room for debate?
Well, those were my 1 and 2, in case you were wondering.
Trust me, I wasn't. Yours, mine, and everybody else with ears and eyes last year knew that was 1 and 2.
But which one is actually number 1? Because like obviously you had Marchand being traded as number 1, but because like obviously we don't know how things end with that because we don't know what that pick is yet. Like the big part of it is that's a huge culture change. Like a big decision in the direction that you're going. And also could we put in there the non-decision to name another captain? Like there's still no captain since then, so
bring it out of the table.
Yeah, so like if they had named another captain, that would be on the list, right? But they haven't, and so I guess Marchand maybe is the biggest because he was the only guy left on the team that was on the cup team, and he was the captain, and he went on to have a great rest of his season once he came back from injury and win a Stanley Cup. So watching him do that was even more painful as he went on a run, and you thought to yourself probably, oh, could we have just traded off the other guys and not Marchand? And could we have gotten him a deal? Like, and number 1 wouldn't be your captain getting traded. He would be on this list, like maybe for a contract extension. Like, oh, that was a big deal that they got this contract extension done and he's with the team still. So yeah, I mean that probably is number 1, but Hagens I think is a close second because we also don't know where that ends, like what his career is going to be, but
we do know that
Marchand, best prospect that you've had in a really long time. Like he is the best prospect you've had probably since Pasternak. And McAvoy.
Marchand's a top 10 Bruin all time to this point. So it's like that's the bar that Hagens has to meet for it to be as significant at the end of the day as what is number 1 currently, which is Marchand. And Scott, before you go, I just conceptually, what we can maybe do is finalize a list and put a graphic together. We can put it out on the Twitter account at some point today and see if people agree or disagree and see if we forgot things. But Scott, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Marchand has to be number 1 for the reasons you laid out. Like Hagens, like if he turns into an all-time great, like maybe 10, 15 years from now, we remember that being bigger, but that hasn't happened yet. So it has to be Marchand now. That was easily the biggest thing that happened with the Bruins this season, or this calendar year, rather.
It's funny because those are the most negative and the most positive, right? Like those two that's why they're 1 and 2 probably, is because I remember the interactions with our listeners to the podcast when Marchand was traded was like pretty much as negative as you could get. Most people did not agree with it. A lot of people were upset. And then on draft night, when the Bruins draft Hagens, we put up a poll of like, do you approve? And it was at like 95% of people approved of it. So like those are the polar opposites, but they're 1 and 2.
The 5% were Islanders fans that were voting on.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but I think it's a good list. Like you got the big trades. Like I don't know if all those trades have to be in there, but certainly Coyle and Carlo have to be pretty high. Hiring Sturm has to be pretty high.
I was definitely trying to stretch out the list to your point earlier, Scott. Like there's only so many, so I kind of gave the trades their own ranking. But you could, outside of the Marchand trade, it's fair if you wanted to lump the rest in as like just trade deadline. But then we'd have to find like another couple of key moments, and I don't want to get into stadium series territory here.
Yeah, so. I think the Carlo and Coyle trades are worth highlighting on their own. So I'm okay keeping those separate. The Geeky extension is a good one. Like that already looks like a steal and could very quickly be one of the best contracts in the NHL. I'm trying to think of like how you would word it, but like striking out on any big names July 1st. It's weird because it's like we kind of already knew they were going to strike out before the day started because they were all gone, but it somehow feels like that should be on there somewhere of like, even if it's just generally not doing more in free agency or not being able to do more in free agency, because what they settled for, obviously, like right away, like a lot of fans are disappointed. And, I think it changed what people thought this season could be. And then the team probably overperformed for a bit, but this team may very well still end up in that same place that a lot of people felt like it was going to be on July 1st because they weren't able to do anything bigger.
What was the exchange between Cam Neely and Kevin Paul DuPont? I feel like that kind of had some headlines to that.
Well, so yeah, there was
management defends drafts, past drafts.
Yeah, it was all around the draft.
I don't know if that's like, it's not really, it's significant in the sense of like, that's been chatter around this team for a decade, and like the management finally addressed it, and it definitely got a lot of people talking about their response to that, and that was just in general, that was a very defensive press conference. It was like 6 months ago now, so I'm kind of forgetting the details.
Yeah,
but well, maybe that's worthy.
I think maybe even more better Neely comment than that was the piss and vinegar comment, which in many ways has kind of, for better and worse, been used to like define the season, right? It's like when they're playing well, it's like, they actually do have some piss and vinegar. But like if the season goes south and is what so many other people thought it was, like that becomes like the thing you mock management for. And it's like, really? Like you thought you were going to piss and vinegar your way to competitiveness? Like here you are in the top 10 again.
Some piss and vinegar chips.
Gross. Just gross. Brian.
Hey, blame Neely, not me,
No, you said it.
Well,
you had the word chips at the end. It changed everything.
Oh god! All right. So, what do we want to do with this list? We want to finalize it after we record and maybe put it out.
Well, we had a really big announcement recently too that I don't know why this didn't make the list, but like we dropped a big jersey this past week. The Skate Pod Stadium Series jersey is, thank you to everyone who bought them for Christmas gifts for your wife and your kids, and they're still available. So, but it's beautiful. So I don't know how this did not make the list.
Well, it's going to make the Skate Pod calendar 2025 significant moments list for sure.
Oh, it's number one.
Yeah, it's easily number one. There's a lot there we could do for a separate episode, but. No, those are just some. I think we probably hit all of them. Again, if you're listening, watching, if we missed something, let us know, and maybe we can try to finalize a list and put it.
I think before we log off, I think we have to solidify our top 5 at least.
All right.
Maybe we don't go all the way to 10 because I think we can fiddle around with like 8 through 10, but sure. Let's solidify our top 5. So we got Marchand trade 1.
Yep.
Drafting Hagens 2.
Yes.
What did you initially have number 3, Brian?
I had trading away Carlo And then 4, I had trading away Coyle. I just think, I put those down just quickly while we were recording. Carlo's been here for a while. I think the first round pick that we're yet to see what it is in June could be huge. And then Coyle, we more so know the return at this point. So we'll see how Zellers ends up being and whatnot, but I don't know. But I'm open to that being geeky, or whatever you guys decide. I just put those down.
I think hiring Sturm has to be in the top 5.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. I mean, Stern being hired, I can see an argument for Sweeney's extension being polarizing. Obviously, the geeky extension, maybe one of the trades I mentioned.
Well, how about this? And I hadn't even thought of this. It just popped into my brain. The McAvoy injury at Four Nations should be in the top 10 now.
Yeah, that's a good one too. I thought you were going to say the McAvoy shot to the face, but which just goes to show what a tough calendar year 25 it was for him.
Yeah,
injury wise.
Because if that doesn't happen, maybe they actually. That's kind of like what did put the nail in the coffin for the trade deadline. Like they maybe aren't even sellers at that point if he's healthy.
Yeah, I was gonna lump in the Hampus Lindholm season-ending injury, but that was technically calendar year 24.
Yeah, it was like I know, like I remember feeling like the McAvoy injury was that felt like the last straw, and then obviously Marchand got hurt right before the deadline. Like that was truly the last straw. But yeah, the McAvoy injury, I think definitely, maybe not top 5, but definitely has to be in the top 10. Because you're right, like that really. I don't think that season was going anywhere anyways. I think most of us would agree with that, but that really kind of helped swing it to like, yeah, this team's definitely
all it really takes looking back now is an extra win or two, and the Bruins end up with what is the 8th or 9th pick, and somebody else gets Hagens, and the Bruins get O'Brien or Desnoyers or whatever.
It changes.
Actually, Desnoyers went 4th.
It changes literally everything else on our list.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get injured and the Bruins like have a few more wins and don't sell, like that changes everything else on the list.
Well,
because you don't get Hagens, you don't trade Marchand, you don't trade, maybe you stand pat, you go for it, you make the playoffs. Like it changes the rest.
Yeah. It does, but I could see a scenario where like they still sell, and then he comes back after the deadline and helps them get like an extra win. And like that, like one extra win puts them down to 8th or 9th, and they end up with whomever, Victor Eklund or whatever, like. But
well, yeah, and like valid. Yeah, and the deadline is still like it's really its own thing, because remember, like we didn't know they were going to sell to the extent that they did. No. Even with an hour to go until the deadline, like. We thought they might be done. It might have just been the Frederick trade a couple days earlier, the Brazeau trade, and like maybe one of Coyle or Carlo. Then it's Coyle and Carlo and Marchand, which like
to Florida.
None of us expected all of that to happen.
No, my jaw like hit the floor when I saw that Marchand was traded to Florida of all teams.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that a few of those happened like all right around the same time, right? Like, or that got announced, like they got out all around the same time. And I was driving to UMass Lowell to do a broadcast, and I was just in my car, like seeing like notifications come up on my phone, which I was using for my GPS. It was like Carlo gone, Coyle gone, and I'm just like, what is happening? I get to the rink, and I'm like looking it up on my phone, and I'm like, what the hell? So that was a weird broadcast because I just wanted to do a skate pod. You guys had to do it without me that day, I believe, right? Like I think.
Oh yeah,
I think you did it without me because I was broadcasting a college.
I know game. of all episodes to have a conflict.
Yep.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Scott, you're the wordsmith. So how are you feeling about the top 5 right now? We honing in?
Yeah, I think 1 Marchand trade, 2 Hagen's pick, 3 Carlo trade, 4 Coyle trade, 5 hiring Sturm. Like, I think we can lock that in as the top 5, and then after that you have Geeky extension, Sweeney extension, McAvoy injury.
6, 7, 8. No, we need a 9, 10. I think the Chara announcement about the banner raising is significant to make the list. I know it's not an on-ice product thing, but it's an organizational thing. I think it's worthy of being top 10 or fringe.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I'm just trying to in my head.
I mean, when's the last time?
It's like that feels. It feels bigger than like the other two trades, like the Frederick and Brezo trades.
Yeah, well, I mean, when's the last time the Bruins raised a banner? Was it Cam Neely back in 04?
No, they've had a couple since then. I mean, well, the most recent one was Willie O'Ree. And before that, like Rick Middleton was within the last when was that, like 10 years ago?
Okay. Well, in any event, it's not a common thing. You know, I mean, it could be a combination of him being a front office hire and a rafter ceremony announcement. But I think that's bigger than the Frederick and Brazo. I mean, you know how much I love Kuzi, but so maybe that's 8. You know, the rebrand.
I'd put it 9 because I would have. I'd probably go like Geeky extension 6, Sweeney 7, McAvoy injury 8, Chara 9, rebrand 10. Like, does that check out?
And I know the rebrand, like people might be like, what? But I don't know. Like, I mean, a rebrand is a rebrand. Like, it affects the visual product every day. I don't know. I mean, people loved it. If there were more things to talk about, I think it wouldn't be on the list, but you know.
Yeah, if there was a playoff series or something, but also I want to throw this in for like you have the Geeky extension in there, but like in the last calendar year, hasn't he led the NHL in goals?
Tied with Nathan McKinnon, 50 each. Could be decided tonight.
One more tonight. But like that's pretty fucking big.
Oh, yeah, like I was thinking of that too. Like I don't know how you'd boil it down to a moment, but like specifically like his start this season. Again, like I don't know if there's like one defining moment, but I mean that was arguably like the best story before, you know, this most recent losing streak was Geeky being among the NHL leaders in goals.
It can be like geeky. It could be geeky emergence and then in parentheses extension or something like that. Contract extension.
Yeah, we can.
The year of the geeky is what it was.
We can cheat and kind of loop it all into one.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, the extension's not really happening if he doesn't go on that tear. It's kind of all connected as well. Okay, so we will finalize that list. We'll put out a graphic or something like that. And
I was also gonna say like I don't know if it makes it, but like either Pastrnak 400 goals or Pastrnak moving into top 5 in Bruins history in goals. Like,
yeah,
it probably doesn't need to be on here, but
I think it's an honorable mention.
Yeah, like grand scheme of things, like those are pretty impressive milestones.
Just beneath rebrand.
Listen,
honestly, the rebrand made more headlines, so that's kind of why.
As the podcast that has a dedicated fashion segment, like we got to include the rebrand.
I mean, they had Michael J. Fox. They had a whole rollout. It was a huge thing on social media.
Charlie McAvoy did 10 hours of makeup and hairstyling.
Yeah. So like all joking aside, like part of this list is going off of like what generated the most headlines and buzz, and Pasternak's milestone was more of a graphic on NESN than anything else. But anyways, yeah, great jersey, Bridget. Okay, final thought for me before we go. I know we have a few minutes here. The Olympic rosters are being announced at some point today. Is that correct?
Not announced, but they're submitted.
Yeah. Okay. So Friday morning they're announcing it on, I think, on the Today Show. So we're planning to record Friday, so we'll be able to react to those.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping they get leaked before because I don't even want to wait. I want to know.
I know I'm gonna have issues with it. Like just based on some of the reporting already.
Well, are you referring to players like Brock Nelson and Vinny Trocheck being named over Jason Robertson, for example, who is leading the league in goal scoring right now.
Yeah. Jason Robertson this season is second among All-Americans in goals and points. And he's a good defensive player. He's a good two-way player. And apparently, based on reporting, they're leaving him home.
Tage Thompson's a player who was left off Four Nations, I think might be getting a nod as well to make the team, which would be a big jolt for Team USA. Yeah, I mean, listen, I know you need role players. I do think the U.S. has enough players who are supremely talented offensively, but also are good defensively. So, I mean, if that means that, Matt Boldy is more of a defensive-minded, you can figure it out. I think, leaving Robertson off. I mean, you can take an extra forward than you could for Four Nations. There's, I want to say, one more forward spot. So it's like, really? Like, if you think Vinny Trocheck is going to stop Connor McDavid, you got another thing coming. I'm sorry, no one's stopping Connor McDavid. So
yeah, and like my concern is going to be that I think building the roster this way, where you still have this, let's bring the more defensive grinder types on the fourth line, is like you're then banking on your top guys producing and acting like you have no question marks there. And I'm like, if you're being honest, I don't know how you can really trust that
Austin Matthews.
Let's just say Austin Matthews and Jack Hughes are going to produce this tournament. I don't know how you can be fully confident in that. Like, I would want to have other options where I'm like, you know what? If those guys aren't getting it done, I can move guys up and have a new middle six.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I think you can tell JT Miller, JT, you're a PK guy. This you are our defensive forward. You're gonna be a PK guy, and you're gonna be a defensive matchup guy, and you're gonna bust your ass for us. And Matt Boldy, you're gonna be a PK guy for us. And it's maybe one of the Kachucks or something. I don't know, like Brady Kachuk, you're a PK guy. Like, you're F1 5-on-5.
Eichel kills penalties in Vegas. Like, he's going to be on your PK.
Yeah. So I just think I love bringing Thompson if that's what they end up doing. But like, he's somebody that should have been at Four Nations, I think, but he wasn't. A guy like Chris Kreider, I don't think will be there this time around. I just think you want to bring Nelson, and you want to bring one of Nelson or Trocheck, like, no problem. I don't think you need both of them, especially at the expense of the top American goal scorer this year, and a year where Austin Matthews, by the way, is kind of down and probably hurt. So I think, you're right, Scott. We'll see what happens.
Do you think that there's any chance that they like for a bigger surprise than what we just talked about?
You mean
leave off one of the goals, or like?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think Jeremy Swayman makes it, and all the reporting has been the U.S. is almost certainly just bringing back the same three. But if they shook something up there, like, Hellebuck and Ottinger are on the team, so Swayman would be surprising, but like, I don't think you can 100% rule that out that he gets left off.
That would be big. That would be a big topic here for sure.
I guess the real issue is it's like, who's replacing him? Like, Spencer Knight got off to a great start. He's fallen off quite a bit. So I don't think anyone has really made, Thatcher Demko's, he just battles too many injuries. I don't know that you trust what you're going to get there. Like, I don't think anyone else has really stolen it from Swayman.
Yeah. Yeah, he should probably he should make it. I think, but that would be certainly more of a shocker if that if that were to happen.
The other really interesting one to watch is Adam Fox, who by all accounts is like firmly on the bubble. Obviously struggled at Four Nations, but is having a really good season this year. Has generally been one of the 5 best defensemen in the world over the last 5 years. Is now coached by Mike Sullivan in New York as well, and yet sounds like there's still a chance he might get left off, which again I think would be kind of crazy. Like, I don't know if that Adam Fox needs to start the tournament in top 6, but I want to have him there as an option.
I think he'll be there. I think the Mike Sullivan connection and Chris Drury too with the Rangers. I think Drury's on the U.S. staff too. So I don't know. I know Fox has been injured, but I think it comes down to him or maybe like a
like Noah Hannafin.
Yeah, I think if it's Hannafin, I think it's probably Fox. I don't know.
Yeah, Jackson Lacombe maybe in that conversation.
Yeah. I mean, your defense are. I mean, your top six. You have no particular pairing order, but you have McAvoy, Hughes, Faber, Slavin, Werenski,
Jake Sanderson,
and then Seth Jones is an option. I think Seth Jones has a real case as an extra defenseman, and then you have one more defenseman spot, right? So, with that said, I was premature last episode. Wishing you all a happy new year. I will now wish it. Do either of you have any final thoughts before we sign out?
No, happy New Year.
Enjoy Stranger Things.
Yes, to our Stranger Things listeners. I'm sure there are many.
I can't wait to watch the finale in theaters tomorrow, despite not watching the last 2 seasons.
Yeah. So all of you with friends and family, have a very happy and safe New Year's. Enjoy Bruins Oilers. Enjoy World Juniors. We'll be back on Friday to discuss more. Hey guys, thanks for watching the Skate Podcast. If you want to see more of our videos, visit our playlist.
Not in front of a screen? You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't forget to follow us on social media. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment.